Read.
Junk.
Read.
Junk.
Read.
Junk.
Read.
Junk.
Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of the ReadJunk Podcast. My first guest on the podcast is Roger from Rude Boy George, Bigger Thomas, and Heavensbee. We sat down and talked about his bands, the ska scene, a little bit about the World Cup, as well as Roger's new venture, City Brewing Company. They're going to be opening up soon in Orange, New Jersey. There's two moments in the episode where my damn phone rings, which I just left in because I thought it would be funny anyway. At the end, we play a fun game of Goldblum Trivia, which I'll probably play from time to time with certain guests. I don't know if every guest will be down for it. It was a great time chatting with Roger and having some food down in Jersey City. Hope you enjoy our little talk. Here's episode 8 of the ReadJunk Podcast with Roger from Rude Boy George. You're my first guest.
Wow, I'm honored.
Welcome.
This is where you hit the button and then the applause track goes.
Yeah. Wait for
clap.
applause.
Wait.
I'll insert that later. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about you got a new album out.
New EP.
You have several bands.
Several. You got to keep your hand in the game.
You have some other side projects that you do.
Yeah.
You're just a busy guy.
Yeah. Well, once you get more mature, I won't say older, you get more focused on what you want. So, Rude Boy George is probably the most prevalent thing that's happening. So we just put our EP out, Love My Way, which this guy, I forget who he is, did the artwork for. Was kind of...
Oh, that was me.
Oh, right. Yeah. He was pretty good. We wanted to, we had a song by Pretenders and Psychedelic Furs. We just wanted to be kind of a love letter to labor of love. And it also marks a kind of a transition in the band because we've moved on from Meg Howe, who's amazing and just had a baby girl, and she's doing really well.
Congrats, Meg.
She's doing great. And Jenny Whiskey coming in, and Jesse and
Rob. Well, I mean, they worked with you guys in Bigger Thomas, right?
Right. So. Yeah. So, we're bringing Rob, and Jenny has been, and Lucas and Robert Julian, Lucas Lido, just great. They fit right in, and they're taking the band in a direction that we didn't expect. But we like where it's going. So,
I mean, how was the process of you finding new members? I mean, and how did it come about? Where like, oh, half your band's leaving. You guys are like turning into Destiny Child, like just the one singers.
As long as I'm Beyonce, I think I'm pretty. Yeah, right. Yeah. Not Kelly. No offense to Kelly. Meg, she announced that she was with child and was moving away, and to North Carolina, and
she moved. She
moved down there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So she moved. Yes. So that was a blow.
I was wondering, like Brooklyn prices for.
Right. We talked about this earlier at lunch. We
yes.
had some amazing tacos. Can we plug?
Yes. No forks given.
No forks given.
Food truck.
Korean barbecue tacos, amazing. But she had to go, which we were excited and happy about. However, a bummer. Personally, because and then Jackie is getting her master's in jazz composition, but she's going to continue on to get her doctorate.
Oh, nice!
So she's going to be caught up doing that.
Dr. Jackie,
right? Dr. Chasen,
Doctor of Jazz,
the Doctor of Jazz. That's a pretty cool, right?
Yeah, put that on the business.
Put that on a business card. Doctor of Jazz, really? Yeah. What's your prescription?
More jazz.
More jazz. No more alto jazz. It's all about tenor. And then Dave and Jesse were doing Sergeant Scagnetti, which was supposed to be a one-off show thing. But as most things, we found this out with Bigger Thomas. When I rejoined the band a few years, like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I was supposed to come on and do one show on stage because I had left the band for a couple of years, and long story short, I rejoined the band. So I think it was one show, and I think Scagnetti just got really popular. So, and to be honest, they both have young kids.
Yeah.
And the whole band's based in Connecticut, and it's just easy for them.
I was wondering, like, when's the drive? Because you guys are always playing New Jersey and New York, so I'm like, it's gonna take a toll on somebody. I mean, Pam moved here, so
yeah. I mean, the early days of the band, when we got the last version of the band, I consider the band on the T-shirt, the definitive version of the band, like the first version of the band.
Yeah.
We had to split our rehearsal time from New York City to New Jersey and Connecticut, and we would alternate New York. Be honest, the early days, the guys from Connecticut were driving to New York once a week on a weeknight.
Yeah,
to rehearse.
That's rough.
For 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, and they'd leave New York at like around 11 and drive 2 hours back,
and then go full-time job.
So we did that for at least 3 of the 4 years that we were together with that version of the band.
I remember seeing Jesse. He played the very first ska show that I've ever been to, and
Really?
it was Let's Go Bowling, Sergeant Scagnani, when it was before some of the current members. It was
wow. Okay.
It was like a 9 or 10 piece band.
Yeah, Peter Thomas went through that phase too. We went through like a 12-piece.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know why ska bands do that, but it's a good sound, but it doesn't sustain over years. They're like, okay, we need to pay all these people. Yeah, we could trim some trombone players.
Unless it's Western Standard Time, which we saw at Supernova,
yeah.
which I don't know how they pull that off, but that was, anyway, that's the exception.
We can get to that in a little bit. Yeah, Supernova.
Yeah. But it was tough, and these guys sacrificed a lot. We sacrificed, and then Mark and I and all of us would drive up to Connecticut every other week to compensate for them coming down. So it was a lot of driving, a lot of commitment, but I feel like that's the spirit that got. It was fun doing the music, and the shows were just, it was part of it too. So when those guys transitioned, the first thing you do with everything is you ask friends, who do you know, who's available, and we had, I have to say, we had a really insane audition. I met a singer, and she knew of a drummer. She's like, I know a drummer. I'm like, you sure? And then when the drummer sent me his stuff, he was like a death metal drummer,
Hey, I mean, some people do that,
But I was like, same, what I'm saying? But to your point, your reaction was like, hey, you know what?
If you can drum. Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately, he came to the rehearsal, and he could not drum at all. And to the point where, and Mark and I always laugh at this story, because Mark and I are pretty, when we work with other artists, and we'll get into this later, we allow the artists to bring themselves to the project. And even when we work with you at the artwork, we have an idea, like we know what it wants to say, but we like to give you the creativity to, come up with a theme.
And then 50 changes afterwards.
Well, that's part of the process.
It's in the contract.
Only
3
50?
changes.
Only 50? I thought we were at 70, but so we allow people to bring themselves to the project. We don't want it to sound so. All the artists that we found to fill, replace the artists who left, we didn't want a Dave sound alike. We didn't want a Jesse sound alike. We didn't want a Meg sound alike.
Jesse has that. Like listening to some previous songs, like how he goes on the guitar solos and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a very distinctive style. And hang on,
hold for pause. And we're back. So as we were saying, Jesse has a very distinctive sound, and we wouldn't want anybody to replicate that. Same with Dave. Dave, I love Dave's drumming sound. We didn't want another Dave. So when this drummer came, he was like, I've got my own. So I'm like, yeah, sure, man, rock out. And he could not keep the beat to the point where I had to stop. I had to stop the song, second song in, stop him playing and say, I had a quick talk with Mark. I stepped out the room. But we've never done this before. Yeah, rejection.
We never done it before.
Awkward.
It was very awkward.
I'd be like, if I was with you guys, I'd be like, I'm going to leave the room.
Yeah, right? And unfortunately, Robert, our current guitarist, he was in the room. We left him in the room with these two others. And I felt bad for him, but I talked to Mark, and I'm like, I think I'm just going to tell him it's not going to work out. And it was one of the toughest things I've done. However, the good news is I learned that when you're committed to a vision in your art, like, don't compromise. And if I didn't do that, we wouldn't have found Lucas. We wouldn't have found Jenny. We wouldn't have found Rob.
Now, how did you find Lucas? I mean, did he?
So Rob, so we found Robert Julian. I think it might have just been Craigslist or whatever, and we communicated. And Robert Julian, he's a serious musician. played in a lot of reggae bands, went to Berkeley, which is how he knows Lucas, because they both went to the Berkeley School of Music. And very connected to the Latino ska scene, reggae scene. Very real, great guy we found randomly. So he knew Lucas. He was like, after that rehearsal, he was like, he literally said, "I'll put my life on this guy. This guy can play." We're like, okay. So he came in, and they were going to do a prank on us. He was going to have Lucas not play play terribly, and they were just kidding. But I'm like, glad you did do that, because I think I would have flipped out.
Yeah.
And then Jenny. So I'm going to a Hub City show. I think it's in Clifton. I saw Hub City open up or headline a show. They got the new album out.
Where did they play? Like Crossroads or something?
Not Crossroads. It was another smaller place in Clifton, I think. I'm sorry, Hub City guys. I forget where it was.
I don't know either.
But Steady Sound System spun. Anyway, I'm at the show, and Jenny does their song, Johnny Date Rape. She sings that song. And as she's singing it, every woman in the club is singing along with her. Every single woman. And she's up there just killing it. I'm like, and then I text Mark. It's like, I got a crazy idea. What about Jenny Whiskey to be in the band? And he was like, that would be amazing. So we sent her a text, or I think I called her, and I just said, I'm just so you know, I'm going on the record. I'm a Jenny Whiskey disciple. Like, she
sounds great on Middle of the Road. It sounds like Chrissy Hine, very parallel to her vocals. Yeah,
her vocals. She sings well. She plays really well. She's professional. She dances, and she's only scratching she's only at 10% of her talent. So, so getting her in here, when we had our first rehearsal, she knew all the songs. She knew the way we sang them. She knew the harmonies, her and Rob. And then, of course, you don't get Jenny without Rob.
Yeah.
So Rob was just a given. And we're great to have Rob, because Rob brings the...
He was in Bigger Thomas with you guys, right?
Yeah, Bigger Thomas.
For
Rob,
how long?
Over a decade. At least 15 years.
Because the first time I saw you guys was you guys opened for the Pilfers at Knitting Factory. I think it was like 2005.
Yeah, Rob was already with us.
Chris Malone was playing trombone, and
yeah, Rob was with us like 2 or 3 years at that point.
Okay.
So it's been a while. And what Rob brings, we always, Rob and Mark and I have a great relationship, but it's like brothers, because he brings so much musical discipline. Mark and I are like, sounds great, doesn't have to be played perfectly, but Rob is like, on this measure, there's a minor fourth there that was slightly off, and I'm just like, whatever, man, you just fix it. I'll be over here drinking beer. But Rob brings not only that, but he sings, he plays sax, and he plays guitar.
That's a hat trick.
It's a hat trick. Yeah. So between him and Jenny, we really have like 6 more members of the band with 2 people. So
were they in the process of when you guys were recording, or did you record with some of the older members, or like how was a mix?
So the way we work is we record the rhythm tracks first, bass, drum, guitar, keys, and all sax overdubs in one session. So we used to record all the songs in one day. We'd start in the morning at 8 in the morning, do all the instruments, and then Meg and I would squeeze in our vocals the last 2 hours of the session. That was Take One EP, and that was half of Confessions was like that. And then we're like, this is stupid, because by the time we sing the vocals at the end of the day, we're tired. People want to go home. We're rushing. We're all kind of on the clock, because time is money. So now we sing. So we record all the instruments in one session, then do all the vocals in another. So we did all the instruments at Firehouse 12 in New Haven, Connecticut, and worked with Greg DeCrosta there, and just awesome. And then there was a gap in time where we had to do the vocals, and that was right around the time Meg was telling us she had to move and go.
Okay.
So we had a session booked for Meg to come in and do the vocals, but unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but she was pretty pregnant and couldn't fly. Not her fault, just that's the way it works. So we're like, don't worry about it. So Jenny was able to come in and basically, do Meg's parts, and just kind of made her own, and she completely turned Middle of the Road.
Yeah, she knocked it out of the park. Yeah.
our way around.
That was my favorite track on the EP.
Yeah, she.
So I mean, how do you guys come up with the process of trying to come up with songs? You're like, okay, we got 4 songs we need to do for this.
It's I'm laughing because honestly, we
Put
still
paper in
haven't
a
figured
hat
that.
and pick it out.
We still haven't come up with an efficient way. The answer is random emails. And
There's several
spreadsheets.
songs that I want you guys to play, and you haven't played them yet.
I know.
Comset Angels, Men Without Hats.
I know. You should see the spread. We have a spreadsheet. We've got like multiple emails, and then people. We don't have a system. Is the short answer. I think it boils down to we pick out some songs, we say yes, and then we record them.
Like I never even heard the one song that you guys, the second track, only
you.
Yeah,
I
never heard that one.
Yeah, that was a Yaz tune.
That was like a obscure. I don't know if it was obscure or just maybe I never listened to it.
We're new wave nerds, so Yaz was fairly popular. I think a lot of British people would know that tune.
Is it slow? The original?
Yeah,
that's maybe why I didn't like.
Yeah,
slow.
Yeah, it's a slow song, and
but you guys, it's a good tempo for you.
It's good tempo. I love singing it with Jenny, and that was kind of like our first like duet. I'm a sucker for duets. But then
Meg was in the video.
Yeah, because we recorded that. So we recorded Meg in the video, and then we're gonna go in and do the vocals. But then the vocals never happened. Then we had all this footage, and then we kind of made it a tribute to Meg. And I think that's kind of, I hope that's the idea we got across.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have a good system, but we're going to rehearse for the summer. We have a show at Wilkes-Barre in September 15th. It's going to be Big D, Pie Tasters, Hub City, and us.
That's a great show.
Yeah. Rob Alpic just set that up, and that's going to be amazing.
I used to go to shows out there because I used to, when I used to live in Middletown, New York, I always go over from 84 that way, or I also went to school out that way too. Yeah. I went to Scranton, outside of Scranton. I went to college there. There used to be in Music PA, there used to be a club called CC's, and it was like a hardcore club.
Oh, really?
Now it's like that's where I saw Toasters with maybe 5 people in the audience. It was
really?
Like a lot of ska shows. Toasters did well. It was like certain bands like Bucko 9, like no one would show up. And then at other times like hardcore, it would be filled, to the brim, and people just fights and just eventually that club closed down. But it's a good scene in that area.
Look, it's a lot of it has to do with Rob. Rob Alpic really books quality acts consistently.
Was he the one that did Cafe Metropolis?
I should have done my homework on that. Maybe.
I saw Gaslight Anthem there.
Rob, if you have, and I don't know, I'm sorry that you didn't do that. If you did, that's awesome. If you didn't,
well,
we'll
same area.
Same area, but all the shows he books they're quality shows. He's a great guy to work with.
Yeah, they just had Sergeant Scagnetti played there with Toasters?
Yeah, Toasters, I think. Yeah. And we finally got to talking at Supernova, and we've met all over the years at shows, but we finally had a proper chat at Supernova, and he was like, I want to add you guys to this bill, and he's just very easy to work with, and he does what I hate to say it, he does what promoters used to do. He actually promotes shows. He comes up with flyers and promotes it and sets up, does ads and. And unfortunately, we don't see that a lot nowadays. So I think that's why that scene is still so successful, because he gets a steady stream of good bands.
Well, I mean, Heath Miller of XSDB, he does the White Eagle Hall now in Jersey City,
right.
And he does the one up in TNX.
He's doing a great job.
But he used to work at Webster Hall, so I mean, I actually went to a show that he put on when he was 17 years old.
Wow.
And it was Dropkick Murphys in TNX.
Wow.
And it was like 500 people, when it should have been 80 people in there.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. So, I mean, he's definitely one of the people that's not in the big Live Nation, Umbrella or Bowery Presents, those companies. But
yeah,
that's like the rest of the people. It's like these monopolies taking over. It's like no one plays Manhattan anymore.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, I used to blame the... I don't know if I think it's the chicken or an egg situation. I used to blame Live Nation and for creating this, but they didn't create this. It's really the New York real estate market created this. I mean, when you have there's no reason in the world.
I believe Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah,
I mean, he closed down so many clubs.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
asshole.
You can't curse on these things, can you?
Yeah, fuck
okay.
Shit. But whatever.
But for me, if we were living in any other country but America, I love living in America, by the way, so please don't misunderstand me. But if we were in Europe somewhere,
America?
right? America. But no way would you close down a CBGB's like club in Paris or in
We got
the
one.
UK.
It's in the Newark airport now.
Right next to the duty free. But the fact that could happen in New
Yeah.
York, it's real estate. So now there's no local scene, there's no local artist. So now you have to have a Live Nation and a Bowery Presents run it because they are the only promoters
that can afford the rent. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad, and I've worked with both organizations, you know.
How do you explain the ticket fees then?
Well, it's a big organization, right?
And it's also part of the bands too. I mean, what they want.
And I don't know for me, I'm still, you know, the old man of, you know, real estate has ruined New York because when you don't have an indigenous, this is the first time in New York history that I know of that there's no indigenous Manhattan, New York scene. There's always been a group of musicians who've lived
Brooklyn.
in New York. Now it's Brooklyn, which no offense to Brooklyn, but New York has always been the center and Brooklyn has been an outpost.
For us, it's a pain in the ass. We're from New Jersey. So
right? But for me, that's the reason why there's Live Nation. So,
I mean, I could see that.
Which is disappointing, but you know, I know a few people at Live Nation. You know, they're good guys. Adam, right? Adam's a great guy. Adam
Felcher. Oh, you're talking about
Batchelor, yes, Adam Batchelor. Sorry, I had a brain fart. Sorry, Adam. But Adam's a great guy. I mean, Bronx Underground, definitely ear to the ground. But you know, but at the same time,
well, he was in a ska band, so he knows.
Right.
You know.
So and he actually was instrumental in getting us onto open for Say Ferris at the Gramercy, which is the show that took us to. They gave us
and then Selector, right? Or the Selector picked you guys.
Selector. I think we just begged Pauline and their management for like 4 months, and they finally relented.
Okay, shut up. Well, okay, you guys can go. Okay.
Pauline's amazing, but you know, we just begged and begged, and they said yes, and we were so happy about that. But Adam got us on the Gramercy, you know, for Say Ferris.
Yeah, he does a good job.
And that show just propelled us, got us to all these other rooms. So there are people within that organization that still do great things, but they also have a job to do. You know, they get paid to, you know, national acts, good paying shows, good, you know, good venues, good, you know, good draws, etc. So, I don't know.
Yeah, so you mentioned Supernova. So, I mean, how was that experience that you guys play with it? I mean, you played on it.
Yeah, Supernova was amazing. Didn't go last year. Unfortunately, we really wanted to, and I think it was a scheduled thing with band members, but I made it a point to go this year. Amazing. You know, for the first time I actually saw, you know, this story makes sense. I went to Reggae on the Boardwalk last summer. Carter Van Pelt does this thing and DJs and outside on the boardwalk, cool vibes.
Where was that now?
Right at Coney Island.
Oh, Coney Island.
Coney Island on the boardwalk, dope. Right next to the Ford Amphitheater. That same day, that was an afternoon thing. That same day, I see people streaming towards the Ford Amphitheater, and I see black vans and punk T-shirts. I'm like, and it was that Dropkick Murphys.
Was it Flogging Wall? No.
Flogging.
Well, they just play together. No.
What was that? Rancid. It was that Rancid show. It was Rancid.
Last year, yeah. I wanted to go.
Right? But my point is, I saw the people going, and they were all people who used to see these bands when they were teenagers. Mm-hmm. Now they're married with kids. They're still dressing themselves, but I saw a huge market selling out that thing, selling out that place. I saw that same market. I saw that same crowd at Supernova. I saw like rude boys who are and rude girls who are still committed to
in their 30s and 40s with kids. And,
right.
Yeah.
And for me, it was inspirational because people were still their authentic selves. Like I didn't feel like it was.
People bring their kids and stuff to the festival.
I think there were a couple of people who brought kids, but Supernova was encouraging on that level. And then secondly, I got a chance to see some amazing inspirational music. Western Standard Time.
I wish it wasn't so far away. Plus, it was like I am on vacation usually that time when they had it the last 2 years. So it's like, ugh.
Yeah, Dorian Schaefer. I mean, just amazing seeing her sing. And just all the band. I mean, so many great. You know, Hub City was always great.
There was some rain or something, right?
A little bit of rain.
So did anyone get cut, like lose their time or anything?
And that's the great thing. I mean, Tim Receiver, Tim and April. Tim was going around. It's like, we had an hour-long rain delay, and he was like, "No, play your set." So we were like, "Really?" And everybody played their set. Sammy K. It was awesome. So
it looked like a fun vibe, but they have trouble selling tickets though. So it's like, how is the crowd? It's like,
it's a great. The place they had it at, I think it's 1791 Brewing. Oh man, I should have wrote this stuff down.
That's why sometimes I do crib sheets when I'm doing the podcast.
Yeah, I should have wrote this stuff down. But great brewery to have it done. Great location, but it was a drive. But it has to be a drive because if it was any place else, the ticket prices would have to be a lot higher. I'm actually in talks with a few friends who work in the industry to see if we can do something similar up here in the Northeast.
I've been trying to get Matt Flood to do Ska Against Racism. I'm like, it's 10-year anniversary.
You're putting Matt on the spot. Okay.
Yeah. What the fuck, Matt?
Yeah. Well, the issue with
he knows I annoy him.
Yeah. I've talked about this. With Eric Smith, who is the CEO of Easy Star, and one of his first things is that sponsorship and financing. Unfortunately, when you put on a festival, the first question is, where's the money coming from? Who's going to sponsor that? And putting on a festival like Tim and April Receiver have found out, it's not cheap to get guarantees and
if you want good bands that are from all over the place, you got to fly them in. You got to fly their gear in.
You got to put them up.
Yep.
You got to
feed them. And then
when we ate. I didn't reach into my pocket for food outside of what I really wanted, snacks in between. But while we were at Supernova, I didn't reach in my pocket not once for food at all because Tim and April had a full spread. That's as much as we could eat. So. And it was great. As an artist, you're like, this is awesome, but you also know that costs money. So the first question is, where does it finance? And that's, for me, that's where I feel like you got to reach out to like a Fred Perry or a Vans or Sam Ash or somebody.
Somebody with money.
Verizon, I don't know, Red Bulls, if they'd be interested in getting involved in a music.
Where would you think about having it? Somewhere in Jersey? Liberty State? Park right over there,
right? Liberty State.
They did have one music festival there. I remember it was like it was before I moved here though.
Now Liberty State sounds expensive, so I don't know how cheap
probably
Liberty State
it would be.
So it might have to.
But they do have smaller sometimes events there, so it's probably expensive though.
But again, these are the reasons why Flood doesn't want to do Ska Against Racism songs because he did Apple. First year of Apple Stomp was amazing.
Yeah. And then the second year, I don't know what happened. It's just no one bought tickets, and then they still kind of did the shows, which those shows were great, whatever the leftovers of it, but not all the bands played,
and who knows why, and that's I think one of the frustrations of these, the ska crowd, and this is where I guess
the scene's there. Like you go to a Slackers club, they sell it out. Pie Tasters. I think the Toasters played at Brooklyn a couple days ago, and then I didn't go to it. Of course, Cooley sings.
Right.
I'm like, can you tell me when you show up in the Toasters concert so I can bring my camera? Granted, I'm like, it was either that or English Beat. It was kind of torn between those two shows. I'm like, I didn't go to either. So just lazy, I guess. Lazy.
Yeah, the scene is there, and again, this is where the frustration is. Where is the crowd? Apple Stomp for the second year should have been a slam dunk, and it wasn't. And people are scratching their heads. First year Supernova was amazing. Yeah. From what we weren't there, but I heard it was amazing. Everybody assumed second year would be even more amazing, and I thought second year. And again, I was in it last year's. It was great, but apparently, it wasn't as financially great or as lost as much because they had to do a GoFundMe.
They did that. Well, they did that this year, and they got money back, so it's good.
So which is great.
People do respect them and appreciate what they're doing. So hopefully they'll keep. It looks like they're taking this year.
They're going to take
a
year off.
Yeah.
Their oldest is going to college, like mine. So you gotta. Sometimes you're gonna be like, okay, family first.
Yep.
But we're hoping in 2 years' time. And in talking to people I'm talking to about, hopefully trying to get something going on somewhere in this area.
I feel like this area would be better than Virginia because because where's an airport that's the closest to theirs? I guess DC, I suppose, but
again, it's all pricing. Like the hotels that they were the hospitality, the Fredericksburg hospitality place was inexpensive per night. you're not gonna. I don't know if you're gonna get less than $100 a night for rooms around New York.
I mean, Asbury Park maybe, but that's even too much because that's another Live Nation venue. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's got to be, in my mind, I'd like to see a really cool park somewhere. I'm partial to Essex County, so with my brewery opening up in the area, I want to see something in the Oranges or Newark. I feel like there's probably something there that's outdoors and not that expensive. I feel like all these desirable cities, Jersey City, Hoboken, are going to be expensive. I think it's time to bring something to a city that needs some exposure, and we could work together. Like, look, if we do something like a ska festival in Newark, I mean, that would be pretty cool.
Have they ever had music venues in Newark?
Yeah, there's. I mean, NJ-PAC is.
Well, I mean,
outside of that,
the big one, but.
No, like club. There used to be the Pipeline many years ago in the 80s. There was a club called the Pipeline in Newark.
That sounds familiar. I didn't go to it, but it sounds familiar.
I only know it because Bigger Tom's opened up for the Boss Tones down there at the Pipeline. Many, like 90 or something like that. But, Newark is more of a, dance music thing. Like there was Club Zanzibar for me, which is not extinct, but it was more of a house music thing, but not live venues. So maybe an outdoor or maybe an indoor thing at NJ-PAC. I don't know. I feel like there are cities out there that would take something like this on.
Yeah. So
that's my dream. I'm putting it out there. I'll give you all my contact info after the interview. If you're listening, whoever's listening.
What else we got? So you guys are going to UK?
Yes. So Specialized. Every year we did one with Bigger Thomas. And that was Soul Salvation. They do every year. They pick a new artist and they invite bands to do a cover of that song, or whatever artist it is every year. And all the money goes to cancer research. And they're great guys. Paul Willow, all those guys that Specialize, amazing. So they invited us last year to their big one that they do every November, and we could never go. And this year we just bit the bullet. We're like. They're like, we'll get you over here. We have your lodging, and they're even going to provide us with instruments.
Oh,
just
nice.
Get yourselves over. So,
because isn't it a lot of getting permission to perform over there kind of thing? So it's like under the radar.
Yeah. So they're working on the work permit. So that's going to be on the level, but bringing instruments is a pain. And expensive.
And don't get them lost in their flight, probably.
So they're going to provide that. So we're going to go there for a long weekend in November. Some of our members are going to go like a week earlier and spend some time with their families and then meet us there. Rob and Jenny are actually going to take time from their honeymoon to play this gig because they have to be there at the same time. So the stars aligned on that one. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I wish I could go because I every time I usually go to England is usually around November, December.
Yeah.
Because I go go see the Levelers play in London usually. So.
Oh, right.
So I go see them and then sometimes just make a whole vacation out of that.
Right.
I did that like 3 or 4 times and it's fun. It's like I love London in the at Christmas time. I actually think it's better than New York City.
Completely.
They just need a big tree.
You know the reason why? There's two reasons why UK Christmas rule over American Christmas is, one, they don't have Thanksgiving. So right around Thanksgiving time, they start the Christmas hype.
Yeah.
2, when Christmas week, like the week between like the lead up to Christmas and the break between Christmas and New Year's, like almost everything is closed. Like especially on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day, like you can't even get transit.
Wow.
Everything's closed. And the third thing is, since they don't have Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day is a huge. Wait, is it Christmas Eve we have the dinner? No, yeah. Christmas Day you have a big turkey dinner, like a big meal with the family. And then Boxing Day, the next day you have the leftovers. And then everything's back in full flow. Like there's football on, you can travel again, and that's more of a family thing.
No.
Never say those words again. Come on, you Spurs. Harry Kane. Do we have to talk about World Cup yet, or are we still talking about music?
We can talk World Cup.
Yeah. Harry Kane. We'll just say Harry Kane. He's one of our own.
Man, they annihilated Panama.
England looks so good.
It's like figures the 2 guys that are on the Red Bulls. Like I feel so bad for him. Like, oh, sorry. I guess they'll be back in the team soon enough.
Look, every team that played this World Cup has nothing to be embarrassed of. This is probably one of the best World Cups I've ever seen. All the teams are fairly even.
Except the United States.
Well,
which is why Panama was in there.
Yeah, it was kind of insult to injury when Panama got smacked around. I think Tyler Twellman said it. I watched him on Get Up, that morning show, which I try not to watch it, but it's really funny. And Tyler was just like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. What showed me about that game was like, we beat Panama 4-0. and England beats them like 6-1. Like we should, and he's right.
All my British friends are like, it's going to be 11-0. I'm like, come on, relax. I'm like, the second half, I'm like 7, and I'm like, it was 6-1. So I'm like, they said 7 goals. So I was sort of
7
right.
goals, but the internet and teams, and you have good players playing in Europe now from all over the world. The level of play has risen, so anybody can beat anybody depending on the day. When Mexico beat Germany, second game of the tournament, that kind of set the standard. Like, I think it gave the other weak teams a bit of confidence.
Yeah.
So when they faced against like the bigger teams, a lot of scalps were taken this year. Argentina, we'll say.
I think they're playing right now. I think, or going to be playing.
They're going to be playing in about an hour.
But it doesn't matter. But I guess it doesn't matter for them.
Yeah. Let's hope.
All right, getting back to your stuff. You guys just celebrated 30 years of Bigger Thomas. I mean,
yes.
How is that?
It's it's Mark and I talk about this a lot, and I have bittersweet feelings about Bigger Thomas. So the sweet part is 30 years, and all the shows and all the songs and all the people, everything about Bigger Thomas has been 99.9% positive. Even the bad stuff that happens, 99.9% positive. I wouldn't take it back at all. The bitter part I have is that, I always felt like, I just saw Bigger Thomas, with more prominence than it's had. The legacy I thought would be, in my opinion, a bit more elevated. So that's one part, and I don't know where that is, and it's embarrassing to say that stuff sometimes matters to me, but it does. And the second part is,
well, you've been working on it for 30,
30 years. It's, and sometimes
I was 10,
right? I was 12. So, and sometimes just like, really, this is it. And then the second part is, for some reason after the passing of Roy Radix, all the songs that we have with him in it, I can't help but think about him in the song. Yeah. And it makes me sad.
Yeah.
Like I wish I was over it.
I mean, how long? I mean, do you listen to them now and still get a little bit weepy?
Yeah,
still?
I can still get weepy.
It's the same thing with my passing my dad. It's like there's certain songs I just can't, like Peter Gabriel. Some songs I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah, I just don't want to. I that's another thing. Like every song I sing that's got his part. I hear his part. I hear him singing his part, and that part always gets me down because I'm still unresolved about that.
How long was he in the band for?
Man, on and off like 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, typical Radix fashion. He's like an alley cat, He'll show up and then he'll disappear, and he'll show up and he'll disappear, and he'll work on other stuff and show up. But you're always glad to see him. But that's the second thing. And the third thing is, I read about bands who like reform and they play, and then they're not as good as they were at the height. And I don't want to be that, and that's, I tell Mark, I say this to Mark all the time, it's a very insecure thing, but I don't want anybody to see Bigger Thomas and be like,
maybe they should have just hung it up.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather finish like somewhat like,
I mean, well, with you guys, you play a show and then kind of go away, come back, and it's kind of like you guys aren't broken up. It's kind of just like a hiatus, I guess.
Yeah, we never say no, but I'm afraid of playing that show that people start to think about, I like them better when...
Yeah, you're still jumping around. I'm still getting the shots of you flying in the air.
I know, but those are my bitter things to my sweet. So the legacy is great. I think it will go on record. I think we were the first ska band in New Jersey. So
I remember hearing you guys. It was back when I started getting into ska, like '96, and it was WVKR and Vassar College college radio, and it was Jesse from Skavuvi and the Epitones. I guess
right.
he hosted a show.
Okay.
So I used to like get my cassette tape songs, and Ska in My Pocket was one of them. I still have a tape. It's
Ska in My Pocket, man. That was just, I think it was a third rehearsal. We just met, and our old guitarist Steve Parker had the riff, and he had the chorus, Ska in My Pocket, and I just wrote some lyrics. It took me 5 minutes to write. And that song, man, I just remember performing that song and the reaction that we saw from people playing it. We just were like, this is going to be, like, you could just see, like, this is going to be awesome. We're going to have so much fun. But yeah, 30 years.
Do you plan on doing any more shows, or just the one that you had in New Brunswick did anyone show up? Like,
yeah, people showed up. It was great. In Hub City, they're great. And look, it was fun. I actually had a good time at that show. But I quite honestly, there's a police documentary when they play like Rio or someplace, and they kind of show the rehearsals. It's fairly new, and I see them when they're rehearsing, and Sting or Stewart's talking about, we don't want to play the songs the same way, so they're playing Roxanne, they're adding different parts that people may or may not like, but it doesn't really matter because we've been playing these songs for decades, and we're going to add it this way. So with Bigger Thomas, like, I feel like I want to get to the point where we're doing songs in a different way, because quite honestly, Rude Boy George, Heavensbee, those projects just excite me more. I'm more into those projects now because the boundaries are like limitless with those, and I feel Bigger Thomas is like a finite thing, and people expect a certain thing.
Hold for pause. I'm gonna disconnect.
Hold for pause.
Phone.
Damn it! I took a yanking out the wall, throw out the window. For dramatic effect.
It wouldn't be the first time. And we're back. So I kind of feel like with Bigger Thomas, it's a very people expect a certain thing of a Bigger Thomas, and I'd want to deliver on that on some level, and it's a kind of finite thing. So. Okay. So how did you get into ska?
It's
through a friend. You hear it on the street, or like word of mouth, or like
divine intervention. I have to say it's divine intervention, because I honestly, it's a story I've told before to friends who know me. It's just, I'm in the suburbs. I'm into the police. I'm buying all the police stuff. I go to Corvettes or Two Guys somewhere, something like that, either East Rutherford, New Jersey, or West Orange, New Jersey, depends. And I'm flipping through the bargain bin, $5 bargain bin. And I'm flipping through, and I see the Specials' first album. And this is like 80, I'm like 83. I'm a junior in high school. So after the whole, I don't think the Specials were even together at that point.
I was 5.
Yeah. Were you really? I was 9. No,
I remember 83, because I think that's when Return of the Jedi came out. That's the first movie I saw. So.
Okay, so somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
And it's a $5 bin, and I'm looking at the album cover, and I see black and white band members, which you didn't see a lot in the States back then, believe it or not. They're all wearing these cool outfits. They're looking up. I see this, black and white checkerboard. It just looked like a cool album cover. I turn it over. I see that they're from England. I see them looking up, and I see like this two-tone. I'm like, I didn't know it was two-tone, but I just see this black. It just looked interesting. So I'm like, you know what? I got $5. I'll buy it. Get home. I put it up my turntable. First song, Message to You, Rudy. I was like, it's kind of like weird reggae, whatever. Next track, Do the Dog. A bit more upbeat, And then I think the third song is like Up to You. And now I'm like, okay. And I listened to that album for, 6-7 months every day. And that was it. I didn't know that there was ska beyond. I didn't even know what it was ska. It was just the Specials, music. It wasn't until I got to college where people were like, "Oh, have you heard of the Specials?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love that. That's ska." I'm like, "Oh, really? It's ska." And then I went to Cheap Thrills in New Brunswick and bought "I Just Can't Stop It" by the English Beat, and then I found out about being a rude boy, and then I found a magazine. I ordered some ska shirts. I got some black jeans. I went to New York, got some creepers.
I remember listening to Madness and like because it was on MTV. I mean, I was total '80s MTV and that type of kid. So I know their music video for our house, and then I think I remember seeing English Beat, like the music video for that too. But I didn't for the specials. I didn't really get into them until when I got into ska in the late '90s.
Yeah,
so
it was just I knew I missed it, but I felt like my whole thing was I just wanted to I understood the two-tone thing. Like I did a little research, and they were into a couple of magazines, and in New York you got the foreign magazines, and they were in that stuff. And two-tone was a movement, and all I wanted to do was just be a U.S. representative of.
So how was the scene back then? So I mean, it's probably been
there was really
crazy fights and just.
Well, that's the thing. I was in New Jersey, so I became a rude boy in New Brunswick, New Jersey, at Rutgers. So I was like, it was me and this other guy in my band, this guy named Kenny. We were the only black rude boys that I knew of at Rutgers. I didn't see anybody else dressed like me who was black. I didn't really see any rude boys in general until the Toasters came to play, I think, my senior year of school. This was, my sophomore year of college. I think this was 87. Didn't know there was any US ska. Had no idea. I thought it was all UK stuff. So obviously after I bought I Just Can't Stop It, I bought Too Much Pressure. I bought the Madness first album. I just went down the rabbit hole of buying all the UK ska.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you find back in that day instead of the internet, because there wasn't any, but it would be like the liner notes or just word of mouth.
Or when I got to college, Cheap Thrills, the record store.
Or the record stores, yeah.
And I'd be like, ska. They're like, oh, yeah, right over there. I'm like, I'll take this. I'll take this. I'll take Fishbone. I'll take all of it. And then the Toasters just opened my eyes to the whole New York scene. I didn't know there was a New York scene. So I saw them. They were amazing. And then we're playing CBGB's in a couple of weeks. And I saw them at CBGB's with Kenny, this guy Miggy. It was, oh my gosh. It was...
You saw the light.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That was like my first ska show. I'm like, what the hell is everyone dancing like? It's like everyone's just bopping in unison, and then like.
And for me, New York, it's CBGB's. It's the Bowery. The Bowery in the '80s was dirty, and grimy. CB's was terrible looking from the outside.
I've actually never been to CBGB's.
Man, it was not a nice looking place. Wasn't inviting.
And I was all about the wetlands.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace, right?
Yeah.
Now it's a condo. I pass it every day on the way to work. I'm like, that used to be. Anyway. But all out front scooters, creepers, like these rude boys and girls were like dressed to it was just black, white, Latino, Asian, East Asian, like Indian, like all color of rude boy. And girl, you go inside, it's packed. People are just
and punk kids or something like that.
Punks,
Rastas,
dreads,
hippies, maybe sometimes.
Not back then. Toasters, the height of the Toasters, in my view, it was kind of like all rude. It was primarily rude boy. Some punks and skins thrown in, definitely punks and skins, but primarily people were dressed to kill. Hats, dudes wore blazers. Sharp ties, and the scooter game and the creeper game. It was awesome. I was like, I'm all over this. I got to be part of this. And then I saw the Boilers open up for Toasters, and it was just insane. Lionel and Sean up front with Bucket, and just insane.
Nice.
Insane. And then 6 months later, I saw Fishbone play at Sarah Lawrence College with Miggy again. And...
Yeah, Fishbone, like my older brother listened to that, but I didn't know they were ska, because it was the one album where it was like they had like a few short songs and then fast ones. It sounded more punk metal to me, but it was like I don't know what album. It wasn't the ska stuff, but so I would know that album. So I'm like, oh, they just play ska. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, the first album was ska heavy.
Yeah,
had Line Ass Bitch on it, which was their signature song at the time, but. Seeing them live, for me, there was a lot of diversity in the New York ska scene, but when I went to ska shows outside of New York, there wasn't a whole lot of diversity. I was usually the only black guy. So seeing Fishbone, two things happened for me. First was just I was definitely the only black guy there, but for the first time ever, it was in a good way because everybody thought I was part of the band. So the first few
free drinks, okay.
Yeah. So the first few girls like, you part of Fishbone? I'm like, no. By like the fifth person who asked me, I'm like, yeah, oh, yes, I am.
What instrument do you play? The triangle?
Yeah. They're roadie. They're like, really? Yeah. And I remember having a great time telling people I was the Fishbone roadie, although I had nothing to do with them.
So let's close this up a little bit and get down to the end. So what do you do when you're not in a ska band?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you're full time?
I thought you were going to have easy questions.
So full time, you're a teacher, right?
Yeah, I'm a school teacher. I'm a PE teacher in Brooklyn, and I've been doing it for 13 years.
What kind of classes?
It's a charter school.
So is it teenagers?
I teach 5th through 8th grade.
Okay,
which is a really difficult age, but I used to enjoy it more. I don't enjoy it as much, only because I'm finding things I enjoy doing more than teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing it for 13 years, no regrets, but I do that during the day, but I'm also opening a brewery in Orange, New Jersey for City Brewing, me and my two partners, Jeff Gattens and Anthony Minervino. We just got funded, and we're now looking to sign a lease within a couple of weeks, start to build out this summer.
It's going to be in what, Orange?
Orange, New Jersey, right next to the Orange train station. So people will be able to...
Is there Orange? It's Orange, New Jersey, or it's not East?
There was an East Orange.
South?
So
it's Orange
East
is
Orange.
north?
I'm assuming, right? I think Orange is north Orange, right? Or Orange, South Orange, East Orange, West Orange.
Okay.
And it's funny because the shape of Orange is a growler of beer. If you look at the map of it.
You're talking to a straight edge guy. I don't know.
Sorry. It looks like a bottle of beer, a large bottle of beer. So yeah, we're lucky enough to partner up with these property developers who, people's like, oh, property developers, they're evil, gentrification. But these guys are all about, they're a double bottom line company. So they're into not only obviously making a profit, but giving back to the community, having programs. They have a program where they hire former convicts who come out of prison and try to get back on their feet. So these are things we want to get involved in more in the community. So that's what I want my full-time job to be within the next 6 to 9 months.
I mean, so the brewery is just going to be beer. It's not going to be any type of food, or maybe you said you maybe do food trucks or something.
Yeah. So getting a brewer's license, you can brew beer and sell beer on premises. You just can't sell food, but you can bring food in. So you can have food delivered. You can cook food at home, bring it in. We want to partner up with food trucks, restaurants. Other restaurants, nearby restaurants. We want to kind of because we really want to collaborate, and that the food part is the best part about the whole thing.
I mean, what made you want to, start up a brewery? I mean, you're just drinking a lot with buddies and like,
yeah, basically.
Well, we should do this.
That's what it is. Craft beer is an addiction. It's an illness. It's a sickness. I got bit by it 15 years ago and started a group called the Brew Council, which is basically a group of guys in my living room meeting once a month and bringing craft beer and rating it.
So it's fantasy football for beer?
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. Exactly. And we'd have like best IPA night. We'd bring like the best IPAs we could find.
I'll trade you this one.
Right. We do beer trades. Exactly.
Okay.
So it grew
if I drank, that sound would be appealing, but
yeah. I mean, part of it's the drinking part, but the real part of it is enjoying like any passion, enjoying the complexity of the beer and the styles. Anyway,
I know my uncles used to be like, "Oh, look at the texture of it when they poured the Guinness in."
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
can't you guys just drink it?
No, you gotta admire it because it's art in the glass, really. So, so I got into craft beer, and then we were doing events, and me and Anthony primarily were doing beer pairings. We'd pair beers and pair pizza. Then he'd bake pizza, and we were like, we should just open a brewery. Why are we talking about it? So Anthony and I started brewing. I'm not used to the microphone. And then we met Jeff, who he home brewed as well. So we partnered up, and the two of them brew, and I'm the creative director because I find brewing, the process very boring, but the product and creating it is exciting, and I'm more into the music part, the community part. We want to have music events, lecture series. You're definitely invited. You're definitely going to be one of the guests coming down to the brew house, because I want to have a series kind of like in the brew house with Brian Krumkow, and you're going to bring a playlist and talk about your songs and what you do and blah, blah, blah.
We could also do like art gallery type stuff in the brewery.
I'm talking with a friend of mine, Terry Body, who's an artist, a local artist in Orange, about we want to be able to sell art, local art in the brew house. So we want to partner up with local artists, curate events. There's lots of possibilities, but so yeah, that's what we're looking to do with the brewery, and hopefully sooner rather than later.
It sounds very exciting. Yeah,
it is. And I'm a dad. You know, my oldest son Jax is going to college in September, New York Institute of Technology.
Nice.
My younger son Anthony's going to be in 8th grade. You know, my wife Sally's doing well. She's a radiation nurse at the hospital, so we're going to England this summer to visit the family.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
So we're going to England twice this year, so I'm excited about that.
Wow. Well, like, do you have dual citizenship for being married, or?
My kids do, but I'm an American citizen and my wife's a British citizen.
Oh, okay.
So I thought about in order to be a dual citizen, I think I'd have to live there for a little bit, for a couple of years.
Hey, I would do that in a heartbeat.
And you know, who knows the future? You know, in 10 years' time, you know, like I said, my folks live in the southeast of England and Kent. Oh. I'd love to retire, or have one of my retirement options to be living on an orchard
instead
in
of
southeast
having
French.
A brewery. You'll have a farm.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Sheep herder or something.
Right? I think I just want to scale it down. Scale it down. But first, I feel like I've got a lot of work to do with creating a cultural hub out in New Jersey.
You're like me in a way with as far as branching out in several different things. Like doing one thing, it's just kind of gets stale after a while. It's like I did before the concert video series for a while, and now I'm doing a podcast. And it's part of it is to conquer my fear of talking, because like I'm not, I get nervous.
Really?
Just talking on the phone. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Like I used to have my brother call up for pizza. Like. And now,
really,
I still get that way sometimes. It's like I love these things like Grubhub, where like I could just order. I don't need to talk to anybody now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like if you look at any true artist throughout the history of time, they've always done a lot of different things. You know, Michelangelo didn't just draw; he did a lot of
I do
prints.
T-shirts. I do photography. It's like
I feel like that's part of challenging yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes what I see with artists is that they get stuck feeling like they do one thing. But that's what I love about doing different types of bands, music. You have to. Art is fluid. It's not static. And I think, and my question for you outside for lunch, I want to ask you here is, so the podcast thing, is this something that you did once before and starting again, or you just decided you're going to start doing it?
Well, I actually got the idea in my head when you wanted to go talk about stuff in the beginning. I'm like, I should just do a podcast, because I've listened to podcasts for years, and then but my brother and I used to do a college radio show on Ramapo.
Okay.
Look, he was mostly a host. I was kind of like the sidekick, making wise ass comments. But now it's my turn. So, but and just like I like making playlists, and so I mean the default kind of show would be me making different types of themes of playlists, and then listening to it. I mean, I'm my number one listener. I end up listening to I want to listen to these music in the car. So, and I try to do like an hour and a half, because that's like my commute.
Right.
But I want to talk to people. Like I listen to all these other people, that do podcasts, and I'm like, I could do this shit.
Right. And I think, look, that's great, because I think too many times people just stay in their lane, or sort of self-imposed lane.
It's like maybe this will be more of my focus instead of like writing stuff on ReadJunk.com, because I just like, what else can I say about this ska band? Like, this song's, I can dance to it.
It's got a great beat, and I can dance to it.
He sings really well. And other times it's like bands that are completely suck, and it's like I don't want to hurt their feelings anymore. I mean, as much as Adam, he likes to do the troll baiting stuff where it's like Fall Out Boy is better than the Beatles, and like I get tons of fucking hate mail for it, and it's like it's funny, and then after a while it's just like, okay, stop, it's just a joke.
Yeah, so, and if the podcast becomes a thing, I mean, and I think that's for me too. That I just let the thing carry me. The Rude Boy George thing went pretty hot and heavy for a while, and it's not that it's stopping, but we're taking a break. We have new members. We're rehearsing, so we don't have many shows coming up. So
yeah, I was wondering about that because you guys are kind of sporadic, but
yeah, because we have a brand new band. We just need to rehearse, and we need to learn new songs with the version of this band.
Men Without Hats, Outside Andrews.
We're going to be rehearsing pretty much all summer long.
I'll make you guys a playlist. You guys can play it.
Yeah, we'll play it. So in the meantime, Heavensbee stuff happens. And,
right. I was supposed to ask about that. I forgot.
And it's fine. There's a lot.
So you guys just did covers for something. How did that, like the Red Stripe or something?
Yeah. So we did a remix for the Red Stripes out in Hong Kong. Sean Cavo Dinsmore. When I talk about Sean and Lionel and Sean from the Toasters, Sean was one of the lead singers of the Toasters, the original lead singers of the Toasters way back in the day, Sean Dinsmore, and he lives out in Hong Kong. He just produced this album for this ska band called the Red Stripes. And they reached out to us like, would you guys want to do a remix for one of our songs? We're just like, sure. We've never done a remix before. So we didn't know. So when we said sure, we really had no idea how we're going to do it, which was the fun part and the scary part. But we went in the studio and we just said, let's find all the great people that we like to work with. We got James Dilla Tacoma, who we've worked with Rude Boy George and engineered and helped produce Hub City's new album. We got him involved. We got Pam involved. We got Jenny involved.
So just the one song you're doing? Or?
We just did. It was a one-off song. We just remixed it, the theme from Rocky, and it was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun to do. And
I haven't done film scoring yet. You can get into that field.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, sure, right? It was like a project, and we did it. And then so the next thing was Specialized. It was time for them to produce a song. And at the time when they asked us to do this Trojan, the focus of this year's Specialized album is the Trojan catalog. When they asked us to do it, we didn't tell them at the time, but we didn't really have a band.
Yeah.
So we're like, yeah, we're gonna get you something. But we don't have a band, so we're like...
It's you and Mark. You guys could be like Wham, like a two...
So we're like, how about a Heavensbee track? They were like, sure. So we did a remix of Honey Boys, The Dark End of the Street, which I personally didn't hear. I've never heard of before.
Is that like widely covered? Because that name sounds... Like Pat Kelly has Dark End of the Street. I don't know if it's the same version.
Not sure, but prior to him, it was... Dolly Parton and Linda Ronstadt who did it. Actually, there was a soul singer named Sam. Oh my gosh, I should know this. All right, rule number one: come prepared to a podcast.
Well, that's the problem with reggae and rocksteady songs. It's like you never know what's original because they cover. There's so many covers.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to Google it because
it's worth the Google.
Yeah, Dark End of it was a soul singer. Street. Song, sorry.
I know Pat Kelly does that, so I don't know if it's the same song. It's just the name's same title.
67 soul song. This is Wikipedia, so I'm sorry. But it's quick and dirty.
Okay.
Soul song written by Dan Penn and Chips Moman, recorded by James Carr. So James Carr recorded it in 67.
Jimmy Carr does songs too?
And then it was redone by Prince Buster. Did it in 67 as well. Wow. Okay.
So Prince Buster did it then.
Wow. Okay, I'll have to go look that up. This is, again, according to Wikipedia, so it may not be true.
I'm going to go.
Linda Ronstadt did it in 74. And where's Dolly Parton did it too. Anyway,
yeah.
So I went down the rabbit hole, but
yeah, James Carr, yeah.
So we decided that we were going to do it strictly as a dub version. Like we're going to call it Dub End of the Street and just dub it out. But when I did the guide vocals, we thought, maybe we do it as a duet again. Because I'm a sucker for duets. I'm sorry. But Jenny came in and did, and this is why I go back to Jenny again. She came in, she did the harmony of my part, then did third harmony to both those prior parts.
You're like, I'll just be sitting over here. You can finish the rest.
And then did this amazing solo over it. And then did these other, she just took it to another level. So that's what we just sent to Specialized. And we're sorry, guys, it was late. So they're waiting on that. But we got it to them last Friday. So hopefully you guys like it.
So when does that come out?
This summer.
Okay.
This summer. And then in November is kind of like a celebration of that. So that's our show in November. So that'll be fun to see all the other acts on the compilation playing along with us.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna wind up, but first we're gonna play a game of trivia. And you could probably guess what it's gonna be about.
Tennis.
No, it's gonna be Goldblum Trivia.
Oh no! All right.
Multiple choice.
Multiple choice. Okay, cool.
Wait, I'm gonna do a theme song. So here's a theme song.
Life finds a way.
What are we waiting for? Let's do it.
Okay. Question number 1.
Yes.
What was Jeff Goldblum's highest grossest film at the box office?
Oof.
Independence Day, Jurassic Park, Thor Ragnarok, The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
I'm going to say Jurassic Park.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
Okay, question number 2. Complete this movie quote. That is one big pile of shoes, shit, sand, or crap.
It was a PG-13 movie, so I'm going to say crap.
Oh, no, it was shit.
Oh! Should have went with the first.
That was a trick question.
Trick question. I was going with that, but I think it was wasn't it a PG movie? You could say
it was PG-13,
but you could say shit in the PG. Okay.
Yeah.
Mind. Darn it.
You can say a lot of stuff in PG-13s now.
Yeah, which is anyway.
Yeah. Besides being an awesome actor, he's also an amazing musician. What instrument does he play? Is it piano, saxophone, flute, or guitar?
Oh, I don't know this one. He plays an instrument?
He's coming out with a jazz album.
I'm going to say guitar.
Oh, no. Oh. It was piano. Oh.
Man.
I should have warned you beforehand.
You should have warned me.
You better read out some Jeff Goldblum Wikipedia.
Yeah, I will. That's okay. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. I don't know if you saw this movie. What color was Jeff Goldblum's character in Earth Girls Are Easy?
Green.
Yellow, blue, red, or green?
Green.
Oh, no.
Come on. He was yellow?
He was blue.
Really? Who was yellow? Damon Wayans?
Damon Wayans and Jim Carrey was red, right?
Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely blue.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was yellow? Damon Wayans was yellow, I think.
Yeah.
Darn it. I thought I knew that one for sure.
I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Great movie.
Okay, last question. All right. In Independence Day, what did his character David do for a living before the alien invasion? Was he a jazz musician? Are you looking it up on Google right now?
I'm not looking it up on Google.
Science teacher, satellite technician, or White House advisor?
White House advisor.
Oh, man, you're bad at this. Satellite technician.
It's fair to say I know nothing about Goldblum.
I think Adam's going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, he will. Adam, I deeply apologize. I'll brush up on my.
I don't know if I'll ask Goldblum trivia for everybody, but I figured this would be a fun one to end it. All right. Well, we'll be back next week with some new music, I believe. It was great having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian.
Thanks for being the first guest on the ReadJunk Podcast.
My pleasure. Enjoy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.